Welcome to Integrity Inspire, your daily dose of inspiration and motivation, featuring the bright and talented members of the Integrity Marketing Group family. Now, here's your host, Integrity co-founder and CEO, Bryan W. Adams.
Well, hey, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. I am super excited today to continue our discussion with Ryan Kimble, and for this part two, or the second part of this segment with Ryan. For anybody who missed Ryan's first segment, man, Ryan was absolutely on fire during our podcast with stories about dealing with change, and he was just starting to scratch the surface, and we started running out of time. Ironically, Ryan is the one who sent me a text message when we first started these and said, it'd be really nice to keep these to 15 minutes or so. And I think my response was, that's pretty hard, bro. And so it's ironic that the guy who was criticizing the length of them is the one who's had to go twice because we couldn't get through. We didn't even get into the meat of the matter with you yesterday. So thanks a lot for joining us again, Ryan.
Yeah, no, I absolutely happy to be on, and it is surprising, and so I take back that it needs to only be 15 minutes for sure.
There's too much meat, man. There's too much great stuff. Whenever you get into Roger Bannister and everything we talked about yesterday, that was great. Well, so we knew we had a lot more to cover. So, we decided to go ahead and rearrange our podcast schedule to have Ryan come back in, and he graciously agreed to join us again. Thanks for all the hard work from Ryan and Laura and their entire team, including Old Double Down. And you just got an incredible team there. I mean, we talked about Jen a minute ago. You gotta think about what Bobby's doing and Kim, and I could just keep going about all the great people that you guys have. And so we talked about this a lot. You guys, just like all of our businesses, have faced a lot of uncertainty in times and critical kind of crossroads, so to speak, in the business. Now, you guys have enjoyed a lot of success, and people look at you as a just an incredible success story. But the truth is, we've also just gone through and seen a lot of challenges over time, and you've experienced those, right? And so what I know you and I have talked about a few moments that are just kind of pivotal moments in Agent Pipeline's history, and I wanted you to share some of those ideas and just kind of how you and your team, because I know you don't take any of the credit. You give all the credit to your team which is one of the things that's just so endearing about you. So I thought it'd be fun if we could just talk about how you guys have dealt with adversity at Agent Pipeline, and how there have been times in your career on ways that you've responded that has really made a difference. Because today people are seeing different challenges, different adversity. One of the things when this came up, Ryan, it's amazing. When this whole thing came up, one of our investors asked me, like, what do you think is going to happen? And I said, we have the most innovative, entrepreneurial people in the world that not only as employees, but also agents and agencies that work with us. We're going to be fine because they will figure out a way. And that is certainly the case, that they have continued to figure out the way. So with that being said, I thought it'd be fun just to kind of have you go through some of your experiences and how you guys have become innovative and look for new ways to get creative and become the success story that you guys are.
Yeah, I appreciate the time and the opportunity. For our company, our dad started this business back in the late 80s and really built it and gave us a foundation to grow it off of. And as I look back, when I started in 98, is that there were clearly 3 times from when I started to where we are now that were clear decision points and changes that we either had to make, or changes that we kind of took a chance on that really made us into who we are today. And I think it's an opportunity for us all to look of how we can evolve and how we can really take advantage of an opportunity to better serve customers and then ultimately better serve our agents. But for me and for Agent Pipeline, there were 3 times. The first time was really when I first got started in the business, and maybe to bring everybody back, it was 1998. I started working for my dad, and there was 3 or 4 of us in the office. And basically, his job for me was to drive to Ohio and recruit agents for individual medical. And so every week I would drive up to Ohio. I would, rip pages out of phone books with all the insurance agents in there. I would door knock them, just try to get in and see them fresh out of college, trying to make my way. And I would always come back to town, and we go to lunch, and we talk about what was going on. And it was one of those common occurrences that we would go to lunch at least twice a week together. But there was this moment at lunch, and I remember we were at a restaurant called Tidewater, and he looked up at me and he said, "You're costing me $30,000 a year, and you're not making me any new money." He's like, "Something's got to change." And for me, it was like this kind of light bulb moment to say, "Gosh, we just went from father son to, all right, we got to figure this out because we got to make this small business work." And yeah, it was very awkward for me and not for him. And I'm sure as he had that conversation with me, it was a conversation more about trying to get me to continue to be a mentor for me and be a coach for me and try to help me along my way. But that moment, and then the next really 6 months for us, is really what changed what we did as a company, or at least started the change. And what happened is he ultimately said, we're going to get into the senior business, and you're going to do senior, I'll do individual medical. And he had a good friend that, and I'm not sure if they'll remember this, but they're probably on the call. He had a good friend, Eric Neschloss, out of Pittsburgh. And so he sent me up to their office. I got a chance to meet Tom and Maggie and the group. And
just for the group real quick, Neschloss and Fleming is also one of our partners. So Tom and Maggie, sure. And what a small world, right? It all comes together.
Oh, no question. So I remember meeting Tom, and Tom may not remember this, but here I am, fresh young kid, and obviously Tom was established and had already been doing a great job in the industry. And the task that he was given was to train me in long-term care and teach me the long-term care business. And I remember it was Penn Treaty that we ended up contracting with Tom on. And we spent a half day walking through long-term care. He taught me everything I knew up until that point on LTC. And uniquely enough, Penn Treaty had a Medicare supplement. But we get back to West Virginia after the training, and I start making calls to agents to try to make this a run at long-term care. At the same time, a company that we had worked with, that my dad had worked with for years, acquired another company out of the Midwest, and they gave us exclusive rights to Virginia to go down and recruit for long-term care agents. And it was like, this is the deal. This is the moment we've been waiting for. And so after the conversation about spending, I was costing $30,000, in his wisdom, he made a decision to invest another $30,000. And we went down to Virginia and held CE classes for insurance agents on long-term care. We did 4 hours of CE. We gave them a big buffet lunch. We spent 3 weeks down in Virginia. This was in 2000, and hit 9 cities. And man, if you're giving away a free lunch and you're giving away 4 hours of free CE, you have a lot of people come to those meetings. And I remember getting back to West Virginia on that 4th week and saying, this is the foundation. We're good to go. We're getting ready to, knock it out of the park with long-term care. And literally that week, the director their head of distribution calls and says that we're pulling the product from Virginia. We can't get it approved. We can't get the LTC product approved in Virginia. And so here we are in this moment of investment. Again, we have 3 or 4 people in the office. And I know my dad, it's like I just spent another $30,000 on trying to get the senior department up and running. And there was a lot of pressure. There was a lot of like, what are we going to do now? And I remember I had called through all those agents, thanking them for coming. We were getting them contracted, and I had to call them back and talk them through that we were not going to have this long-term care product. And there was an agent out of, I think it was Charlottesville, Virginia. And I'm on a conversation with him and talking to him about the LTC not being available. And he brings up Medicare supplements. And I went through the portfolio, pulled the Medicare supplement out. We went through the rates. And he's like, Ryan, this is pretty competitive down here. And all of a sudden, we went from being in a position where we thought we were going to take long-term care of the world and realizing it was pulled from us, and we had to make a change. And that decision to change was made for us. We were not going to do long-term care. It was something that was taken from us. And fortunately, we found this Medicare supplement, and then going back to all those agents and talking about Medicare supplements, and here's the commission, here's the override, or this is our override, and here are the rates. It worked out, and it was like, wow, we just made this pivot from thinking that we were going to do long-term care, and that not happening, then moving over to Medicare supplements. And I guarantee if that long-term care plan would have not been pulled from Virginia, and we wouldn't have been forced to come over to the Medicare supplement space back in 2000, there is no way we would be where we are today. I mean, there's no way we'd be a part of Integrity. I mean, it was just this pivotal moment for us where change was forced upon us, and we decided to, really jump in with both hands and both legs and our whole body into the Medicare supplement world and try to figure out what Medicare supplements were, learn about the product, and then take it to the marketplace. And for us, it was the best thing that ever happened to us. I mean, the best thing is that we had to get into Medicare supplements, and we just wouldn't have been in the spot we are today. And to give you an idea how green we were, I had no idea who Mutual of Omaha was at that time. I just didn't know him because we weren't in the Medicare supplement space. But I still have on my desk today the first award that I ever received in the senior business or in any business was the first year that we quickly got out of long-term care, got into Medicare supplements, and that change was something that we had to do. And I think for agents today, I mean, we'll have agents and even offices that end up converting to the telephonic world and become really good at that. And after we get through the coronavirus and all the stay-at-home orders, a lot of our agents will be in this moment where now they've converted and evolved and are meeting customers where they are. But yeah, that was the big change number one. That was huge for us, and it was huge.
Yeah. So as they say, when one door closes, another one opens, right? You just have to be looking for that. And not curled up in the ball in the corner. That's where it's easy to look back at today and go, man, that was the greatest thing that ever happened to us, losing that. But I can only imagine you and Larry and the conversations after he had spent money on you and then spent another $30,000 entering into that business and getting that product pulled, and he's like, you want to do what now? What? I don't even know what a Medicare supplement is, and now you want us to focus on that? Like, those had to be some tense times, but looking back, that was probably one of the best things that ever, like you said, business-wise, that ever happened to you. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah, I would agree. I think, my dad being in a position where he continued to give me chances to do, to try to work it out was probably, obviously the biggest opportunity I've had in life was an additional chance to make it work, to try to figure it out. And obviously, that kudos goes to him for being in that position and not pulling the plug. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But that's change number one. And that would be, as I think about it and I look back on it, that was a change that we had to make. It was really a change that was forced upon us. But the second big change for us as a company really started in 2004, and maybe to bridge the gap between 2001, where we wrote our first $1 million of premium, to 2004, is that we started in Virginia, and then we came to West Virginia with Medicare supplements, and then we went up to Ohio, and by the time we got to 2004, we were in like 6 or 8 states promoting just Medicare supplements. And we finally got our feet underneath us. And I think by 2004, we were at around $5 million in Medicare supplement premium. and things were going well. And then what happened next was something that we weren't prepared for, and it was this product or plan called Medicare Advantage that started popping up in Ohio in 2004. And if I remember right, basically CMS had a couple pilot programs for Medicare Advantage, and Ohio was one of those states, and there was a zero premium HMO plan up in Ohio, and it really, when we first heard about it, like, what the heck is this and what's going on, and so we identified, that it was a product, and really didn't pay a lot of attention to it, other than it was taking business away from us. And when we got to 2005, as most people know on this call, is that was the year leading up to Medicare Advantage and Part D being rolled out in 2006. And we definitely jumped on board the Part D train, because we felt like at the end of the day that all of our Medicare supplement policyholders needed to add this prescription drug coverage. We were in this moment of time where we were all looking at how Medicare supplement market was going to be changed and affected by Medicare Advantage. And I think we all agreed that Part D was a product that we needed to have and our agents needed to have for their customers. But there was this thought that, Medicare Advantage could take away from Medicare supplement sales. And I remember I flew out to an office, actually Dan McNerney's office, which some of the guys know on the call. And he was doing a training, and he walked me through the slides of how it worked and how Medicare Advantage worked. And all of a sudden there was a slide, and if you can imagine, there was a slide, and it was a pie chart, and you had all the Medicare beneficiaries in the world or in the country. And it went through that pie chart, broke it down into a few different segments. One segment was all Medicare and Medicaid. The next segment was everybody who had a Medicare supplement. And you had this chunk of folks, and it was like 23% of the Medicare beneficiaries didn't have anything. They said Medicare A and B only. And when I saw that slide, and I understood how big Medicare Advantage was going to be, and really it was almost like a light bulb moment for me, saying that there is a huge amount of people that ultimately are going to need Medicare Advantage. Regardless of what we think about it and what it's going to have with the Medicare supplement space, here's an opportunity. And so we get back to West Virginia, and then we decided to basically spend the next 2 years flying around the country, training, basically certifying agents on their Medicare Part D plan, obviously, but then also their Medicare Advantage plan. And for us, I mean, you think about, at this point, we're still Integrated Benefits, a company that no one knows. We're in 8 states, and we go from 8 states, like in 2004, we jumped to 18 states or so in 2005, and we're in like Washington and Oregon and Texas and Florida, and we're marking the states that we've never been in before at all. And the whole driver was that, Medicare Advantage is something that agents need to provide to their customers, because they may not realize it today, but there are customers they run into that can't afford a Medicare supplement. And if they have a zero premium Medicare Advantage plan, then they'll be able to provide that customer with a better solution than just being on Medicare A and B. And I guess fortunately for us, we were a regional distributor at that point, and really the market there were a lot of folks who kind of slowly entered the Medicare Advantage space, and I can see why. If you're a huge distributor selling a ton of Medicare supplements, and you've got millions and millions and millions of dollars on the books of Medicare supplement premium and customers, you're just like, every time we promote Medicare Advantage, we're taking away from Medicare supplements. But fortunately for us, we were just small and regional, and decided that we were going to take a strong approach at Medicare Advantage. And folks on this call will remember the first few years of Medicare. It was crazy. It was the Wild West. It was trying to figure out, who was going to get paid, when they were going to get paid. But as I look back at that change moment for us as a company, and different than the first change moment, the first change moment was forced upon us. We had no choice. LTC was pulled away, and there was nothing we could do other than try to figure out a way to make good out of a bad situation. But in 2005, this decision we made was for opportunity, because we really felt that there was going to be a lot of folks who needed to have Medicare Advantage, and obviously for us, we went from being a regional agency from West Virginia that no one knew to being in 18 states in 2005, 2006, and then we were up to the high 20s the next year. And it was just, as a company, we started hiring people and talking about Medicare Advantage, doing trainings on Medicare Advantage. And that was probably our biggest change we made as a company was pivoting to this new opportunity and not like slowly going into it, but man, going into it full steam ahead and making sure that we took advantage as much as possible with every one of the carriers we picked up, the contracts we needed. And I think for us, our size and scope being from West Virginia, it forced us, it literally forced us to go outside of our state to build distribution. And some people at that time were very fortunate to be in a state like Texas or Florida and these big markets where they could just market inside their state and have millions and millions and millions of customers. But for us, we had to go outside the state, and it gave us an opportunity to diversify all the different carriers we needed. So we were quickly at a point where we had several Medicare Advantage contracts, and then we were completely diversified with our states. So if one state went bad, we had other states to take over and take control of it. And those first few years was essentially being on the phone, talking to insurance carriers and trying to convince them that we were not working out of a trailer in West Virginia, that we were an established agency, and at this point we had a new office, and that helped out a lot. But it was just these conversations trying to convince carriers that they needed to give us a shot. And again, back to that, maybe that underdog mentality, they did, and we convinced them, and my dad convinced them, I convinced them, and we had these conversations, and then we took whatever opportunity we had and just really you do everything you can. At some point you have to make a decision. It's Churchill who says it. He has a speech as he went through World War II, and he's talking about best efforts. And the whole conversation, the whole speech is about it's not time to give our best efforts. And he talks about it. We have to do what is necessary to succeed. And I think for us as a business, and people do that every day. You take advantage of opportunity. And I'm telling you, when opportunity knocks and you clock out at 5, you're going to miss that opportunity. When opportunity is there, you have to stay plugged in as long as it takes to make sure that you're on the front edge of that wave of opportunity. And fortunately for us, and obviously all the staff that we had at that point, we were able to take advantage of it. And obviously as a company, we're very blessed, and we were able to, again, go from a regional player up to a national player in the Medicare Advantage space. We feel like we were able to kind of make a name for a small little agency out of West Virginia. It was good.
Yeah. So Ryan, what there's a few things that I just want to highlight here. Is I remember those days clearly, being out in a lot of people's offices, a lot of people who are competitors and things of that nature. And when Medicare Advantage came along, they saw that as a threat. They saw that as some sort of threat that was going to really take away their Medicare supplement business, and they didn't want any part of it. And if you were going to be part of that, then they didn't want any part of anything to do with you, right? And they were very adamant about that. And I can look at those businesses today, 15 years later, that I still friends with. And those people who didn't look at that as an opportunity, so where people saw it as a threat, you even saw it as a threat initially, right? But you uncovered it as an opportunity. And whenever you took that as an opportunity and said, we're going to do this, it forced you to expand. It forced you to grow. It forced you guys to even rebrand. When I first met you, y'all were Integrated Benefits. Now you're called Agent Pipeline. You needed a more relevant brand in the market and be able to grow that. And it made you guys one of the largest businesses in the senior market, period. You know this, but Agent Pipeline is the largest company that Integrity has ever partnered with. You went, away from our kind of core business that started, you guys are the largest business we've ever partnered with, by terms of every metric you can look at: revenue, sales, employees, everything. Think about the opportunity that you not only created by taking and having the courage to get out of your comfort zone. Think about the opportunity you created not only for your family, but also for all of those incredible people that work with you, all the agents that work with you guys, all the employees. Man, congratulations. Thanks for taking that chance, for sure.
No, yeah, man. I mean, it was definitely a group effort. Now, I feel it's funny because you kind of look back at the folks that started working with us in the early 2000s, and a lot of those folks are still here today, and even the late 2000s. But I can remember, Bryan, I was trying to figure out how to lead people, right? And we started with 3 or 4 people, and then all of a sudden we've got 12 people, and we have marketers. And I'm in this world of like flying out and seeing agents and working with carriers. And then I'm trying to figure out how to lead people at the company. And I remember going to the mall in Charleston, and we had books a million too, and just trying to find every book on leadership I could. And I remember just sitting up at night, highlighting the book, taking notes, and maybe probably publicly apologize for some of those early years. But that leadership piece was important too, because I was trying to learn, man. I was trying to learn how to do it, and I was trying to learn how to manage people, how to lead people, and obviously I still have a lot of learning to do. But those early years, I mean, that's why we are. Yeah, no question.
They don't listen. We were talking about this whole time that we're all in right now, and I said, somebody asked me, like, what are you guys going to do? And I literally said, guys, they didn't write a book about this. We got to make it up as we go.
Oh, yeah,
and
sure.
And the truth is leaders, and I said this to all the partners. Remember, I said, this is a time when leaders lead, and we just have to step up and lead. And that's what you did. And that's why you guys are the leader that you are today. And that's why one of the reasons I think everybody wants to rally around you, which I love about you, is the fact that when I complimented you a minute ago, you said, yeah, well, it was a team effort. You always are giving credit for your team. And that's one of the reasons I think you're such a great leader. And that's where, maybe that's your book that you're going to write after we get done.
It may not be very long, but we'll put something down.
I'll be the first to buy. Well, listen, you took 2 segments on our podcast. I have a feeling it's going to be really freaking long.
Yeah, no doubt. That's great. Well, yeah, it's funny.
You had a third.
Yeah.
Want to quickly highlight that one?
Yeah, for sure. So when I look at these moments of change, again, the first one of long-term care was a decision that was made for us. The second one in Medicare Advantage, it was a decision to just really grab a hold of an opportunity. And then really as we led up, I mean, you think about it, you had 2008, 2010, you had the Affordable Care Act that was signed. And if you were in the Medicare Advantage space at that time, we thought this was going to pull away from Medicare Advantage. Fortunately, it didn't, because the defunding really didn't pull enough funding away from Medicare Advantage. But what it did create was ACA, the Affordable Care Act, which was ultimately these health insurance policies for people under age 65. And that all started in 2014. It was January 1 was when the first customer had the ACA health plan. And this decision for us as a company was really a decision that we took as a chance at change and as an opportunity not to miss out. Because there was anything that we learned from Medicare Advantage was that if you were in at the beginning, you took advantage of a huge opportunity. And even if you came in 2008 or 10 or 12, you're still taking advantage of a huge opportunity on Medicare Advantage. So with the Affordable Care Act and ACA, we looked at that and said, this is going to be something that we don't know if it's going to be big or not. And honestly, Bryan, when we first got into the ACA space, 2 things we didn't know. We didn't know if agents were going to get paid commission on it. And we didn't know if we'd make an override on it. And those are 2 primary things that we all look at in a product before we make a decision. And I remember talking to Laura at the time and basically saying we need to hire 6 people, 6 marketers for the ACA team. We'll go at this. We'll figure out what we're doing. And so we actually pulled 6 people off who had just started on the Medicare team, pulled them over to ACA, and we started talking to agents about ACA. And I remember basically what I had to do. And it is what it is, but I went online and watched every video I could on what was going on with the Affordable Care Act. I went and read as many white papers and articles about it and tried to figure out what it was. And I remember we had a lady who still works for us, Jess Atkins. She was a marketer at that time on the ACA side, and she convinced me to do an ACA 101 webinar for agents. And it was one of these things where, we did webinars before and you get, 20 or 30 agents on and you do this training. And so we decided to do it, put together the webinar. We do the first one and we've got like 250, 260 agents that attend. And as soon as we saw that we had that many agents, we knew that this was going to be something big. And so we'd run 2 or 3 webinars a week, and we're having hundreds and hundreds of agents jump on to learn about the Affordable Care Act and learn about what was going on. At the same time, talking to carriers, trying to get contracts. There's actually agents are going to get paid. There's actually going to be an override in it. And so for us as a company, we went from doing 0 under age 65 business in 2013 to writing tens of thousands of enrollments for 2014. And now we're obviously in the hundreds of thousands of enrollments on the ACA side. But it was a decision to make a change at a point when really we didn't know what the outcome would be. And I think as I look back at that moment, it was the best thing we could have done because we were able to diversify our company. We were able to build a whole new distribution channel. The agents who sell ACA don't sell Medicare, so now we're greatly diverse. And again, we're kind of going back to that core thought that if we can meet customers where they are with products, then we as a distributor and agents that are in the marketplace will always stay relevant. Because customers, as they go through change, whether that's turning 65 and jumping on the Medicare, whether that's walking into the ACA world and trying to understand what they should enroll in, or now with coronavirus and COVID, how do I prepare for this, whether it's life insurance or health plans? If we can meet customers where they are with our products, man, we will always stay relevant. And because insurance companies always need folks to distribute. And I think that was for us, this last big change that was huge for us. And again, it was to take a chance. So as we think about where we are now in the business and what's changing in the marketplace, we're going to continue to evolve. Where Agent Pipeline and where Integrity is in 2025, it'll be exciting to see because we won't be the same as where we are today. And there'll be opportunities that we take advantage of as a group and as partners that, that we can change and revolutionize the industry. So it's exciting for me to think about those 3 changes we made and ultimately what we'll do as a group going forward.
Listen, Ryan, first of all, thank you for sharing all of those nuggets of wisdom. One of the things I think I can speak for everybody on this call is that we want to be part of a revolution. Like, we want to be part of something that's bigger than ourselves and revolutionizing an industry, as you talked about. And it's going to be exciting to see where we are in 5 years' time or in 10 years' time. You think about how things evolve and how quickly they move. We are committed to staying ahead of that curve and doing everything we have to take, every chance we have to take to continue to evolve. And so with leaders like you and all the others on this call, we're going to be there for sure. I think it's really important. The main message on this, I think, that I've heard is that when something first looks like a barrier, when it looks like this big obstacle, it really can be an opportunity. And when there's one door that closes, there's another one that opens. You just have to be looking for that. And you have to find that you got to go out there and sometimes make that path. Go out there. My mom, when I was in high school, gave me this little quote in a framed picture frame. I still have it to this day. And it said, "Do not go where others may lead, but instead go where no one else has been and leave a trail." And it's always stuck with me to say that, like, let's not just follow the crowd. Let's go and create our own way. Let's go and create our own market. And it's an honor to be partners with you. What you guys have built there is simply just amazing. And I thank you for trusting Integrity to be part of this larger part of this larger family, and helping us lead into whatever that future looks like as well. You inspire me, Ryan. Really appreciate you doing this. Appreciate you taking the extra time. I want to say thank you for Ryan. Really, have just been blessed through this time. One of the things that I wanted to remind everybody is that Friday is one of our holidays. So that is a company holiday. So I hope that you enjoy kind of an extended weekend with your family. Really take time to kind of rest and reflect. I've been asked by many of you if we could still have this Inspired podcast on Friday. So we're going to still have an Inspired podcast on Friday. It will be more of kind of reflection and just kind of a time of thoughts and reflection through that time. And so I wanted just to say that is not a mandatory call. If anybody wants to join, I'll be here. Love for you to join. Friday is an important holiday for many people, and so we want to honor that. And but I wanted just to say that I will be on that call, and there'll be others that'll be joining us on that call. And so if you would like to join, just call in at the same time as always. If you don't completely understand, we're going to have a great segment on following Monday. Tomorrow, we're blessed by having Allentown, one of the market leaders in the final expense market, join us. And you do not want to miss this one. The energy that Alan has and the passion that he has about this business is so contagious that I just got to say, you've got to join. And he's going to be extending a lot of this conversation we just had with Ryan about failure is not an option. And really doing the things that others won't do. Ryan just mentioned that about, whenever they got this started, you couldn't work from 8 to 5 or whatever that is. You had to put in extra hours. You don't build the business and build the lifestyle, frankly, that Ryan Kimble and Allentown and some of these guys have created with just doing the bare minimum. You got to get locked in and go the extra mile. And so we're going to be talking about that a lot tomorrow with Allentown. So please join us tomorrow for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you all. I hope you all have a great day. Appreciate everybody joining us here. And let us know if there's anything you guys need. Thanks again, Ryan. Appreciate you, buddy. Love you, man.
All right. Thanks, Bryan.
Take care, man. Bye.